I agree.
And they are. They have no store. That store they can't wait.
Did you see the line at the Pizza Ranch?
No, I didn't.
Man.
I'll wait.
Whoa. I didn't see anybody that looked really malnourished.
There are a lot of people.
No, there are. Yeah, me either.
Picnic after.
Me too. But then I haven't been there either.
Yeah.
Lane, I got a question about, we have old tires and they're collecting water and they become a mosquito haven. When does it become a health threat and can be corrected?
Question, I don't know.
That's not me. Oh, there's that. The mosquitoes are carrying them off.
I'm not sure. I'll do some research on it.
Well, I've got a constituent that's got a neighbor that's just giving him fits. I know he's called the cops several times. The guy comes over and beats on the woman. It's not good.
Send me an address. We can go.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, good evening.
Works better when I turn it on. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North Platte City Council meeting, Tuesday, June 4th, 2024, at 5:30 p.m. Calling the meeting to order. We have an invocation by Don Anderson, chaplain for the police fire.
Almighty Creator, as I stand before this assembly, I first want to thank you for the land and the community in which we live. I thank you for the comforts and the privileges that we enjoy. Thank you for this forum in which we can express our concerns, conduct our business. And thank you for those that have taken the responsibility of overseeing the business and the welfare of the residents of North Platte. I ask you to help those who participate today to conduct themselves and their business with respect and honor. May they be ready to listen and reluctant to speak quickly or in anger. May this evening's meeting proceed peacefully and be profitable to all concerned. I humbly and gratefully offer these requests in your righteous name. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Roll call, please, Angie.
Here.
Tryon? Here.
Here.
Lucas? Gary?
Here.
Lambert?
Here.
Baker?
Here.
Wood?
Here.
Thank you. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of the State of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Meeting procedure. The public may address specific agenda items at the pleasure of the mayor. If recognized by the mayor, please identify yourself by stating your name and address. Please address the council through the mayor and limit your remarks. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in the public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. In the awards, accolades, and presentations category this evening, it's all Michaela's fault. She confused me a little while ago. Sorry. Anyway, I just want to take a moment and recognize the great work and strong efforts of our light and water staff, our public service, police, fire, EMTs, roads department, transfer station, and the Emergency Services Disaster Preparedness for after the storm on Sunday night. Many folks from those departments worked all night or most of the night in order to get the town running as well as we could. Unfortunately, we couldn't get power back to every building and everywhere, but we were pretty darn close by 6 a.m., so that was quite an accomplishment. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Okay, moving on, the consent agenda. All matters under the consent agenda are considered by the city council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any city council member may, however, remove an item from consent by request. Excuse me. A, approve the minutes of May 21, 2024. B, place on file the treasurer's report for April 2024. C, approve the application by the Fraternal Order of Eagles number 2839 for a special designated license on September 6, 2024 from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. at 620 North Chestnut for the Cody Cruisers Supper and registration. Excuse me. D, to authorize the mayor to execute the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area HIDTA Initiative Cooperative Operation for Drug Enforcement CODE grant required certified assurances and other application documents. Item E, approve application by Brick Street Cork and Cap for a special designated license on June 28, 2024 from 3 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. at Jerry Remus Chevrolet at 3801 South Jeffers Street for business after hours.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Nisley. Calling the question on the consent agenda, please. Consent agenda is passed. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to the regular agenda. Item number 2, approve the renewal of the interlocal fuel agreement between Lincoln County and the City of North Platte for services of providing fuel to the Lincoln County Roads Department and authorize the mayor to sign all documents for the city.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the renewal of the interlocal fuel agreement between Lincoln County and the City of North Platte for services providing fuel to the Lincoln County Roads Department. Authorize the mayor to sign all documents for the city.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Nisley. Do we have any discussion on item number 2? Mr. Woods?
I've got a question about how that's delivered. Does it all come to the city and then get transferred? Okay,
No,
it gets delivered where it's going.
Correct.
Okay,
we bid it out as needed, and then it goes to where the different locations where it's needed at.
I figured.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 2, please. Item number 2 is passed. Item number 3, we're going to remove from the agenda. We have one unanswered question regarding the lease, so we're going to get that fixed up. We'll likely bring it back at the next meeting. Item number 4, first reading and action on ordinance number 4168 to amend Title 9, Chapter 90, Section 90.03 of the Code of the City of North Platte relating to the enforcement of animal control ordinances.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4168 to amend.
Hold on, just we got to read the ordinance.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
I jumped the gun there. I forgot to tell.
Ordinance number 4168, an ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to amend Title 9, Chapter 90, Section 90.03 of the Code of the City of North Platte by revising provisions related to the enforcement of animal control ordinances, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4168 to amend Title 9, Chapter 90, Section 90.03 of the Code of the City of North Platte relating to the enforcement of animal control ordinances.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Garrick. We have any discussion on item number 4? Mr. Garrick.
Can we get an explanation of what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm happy to provide that. So I was contacted by the police department. They're in the process of updating some policies and procedures, and they were looking at policies and procedures as it relates to enforcement of the animal control ordinances. And so there's really a very, very relatively small change that we're proposing here to the ordinance, where we're removing basically any kind of insinuation that there be a requirement that something happen outside of the officer's clear vision to be able to apply for or request a subpoena. So I don't know if Steve would have anything more to add to that, but if Chief Reeves doesn't, I'm comfortable with the change. It's a very small change. And I think the intent is to make it more clear that should something come up in the enforcement of the animal control ordinances, better to err on the side of caution and request a subpoena should you need to enter private property. So that's kind of the intent of it.
Other comments or questions?
I would note, with it being kind of a small change and with it corresponding with the police department's policies and procedures, if the council would be willing to waive the 3 readings on this, that would be a consideration from my perspective. But it's up to the council there.
Mr. Mayor, I move to waive the remaining required readings on ordinance number 4168. And I move to adopt ordinance number 4168 to amend Title 9, Chapter 90, Section 90.03 of the Code of the City of North Platte relating to enforcement of animal control ordinances.
Second.
Okay, we have an amendment by Vols, second by Garrick, to reduce the number of readings on this proposed change to 1 or pass with only 1 reading. Any discussion on the amendment? Okay, calling the question on the amendment. So if we agree to this, then we'll then go back and actually vote on the change. But okay, the amendment is passed. Thank you, everyone. Council will now consider the ordinance itself and the minor change. Any further discussion on the ordinance itself? Seeing none, calling the question on the ordinance passed with 1 reading. Ordinance is passed. Thank you, everyone. Item number 5, adopt the recommendation by the City Planning Commission for preliminary and final approval of the Cadena replat located at 2803 West 6th Street and approval of a variance to section 155.093D to allow the depth of lot to exceed 3 times the width.
I move to adopt the recommendation by the City Planning Commission for preliminary and final approval of Cadena replat and approval of a variance to section 155.093D to allow the depth of the lot to exceed 3 times the width.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by Flanders. Where's Judy? She's hiding outside. Judy, you want to give us a quick story on what we're contemplating here, please?
Several months ago, you had saw this area because City Council granted a extension of a conditional use for mobile homes. We don't normally allow mobile homes on individual lots. At the time, I believe there were 3 on this one lot. So what she's requesting to do is split this lot in 2, put 1 mobile home on each lot. So there'll be 2 mobile homes. The only reason you're really seeing this is because of that variance to the width to depth ratio.
Thank
Have
you.
any other questions? I'd be happy to.
Is that microphone on?
Read.
Okay, that's good.
I just not talking loud enough?
No, I just can't see it from here. Old age. All right. Anybody have any questions for Judy? Thank you, Judy.
Yep.
Any further discussion on item number 5? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 5, please. Item number 5 is passed. Okay, moving on to item number 6, which will be the first in a series of public hearings. The first public hearing will be to consider adopting the resolution regarding the redevelopment plan for the Canteen Commons Apartments redevelopment project and approval of related actions. officially opening the public hearing. If you'd like to make a comment, please approach the microphone, tell us who you are, where you live, and you may make your comment. Please keep it to around 5 minutes in the interest of time. Thank you. Notice I said that to the attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, Mike Bacon, Council for the Community Redevelopment Authority, Gothenburg, Nebraska. Drafted a proposed redevelopment plan that is in front of you today for DeWitt Investments for 28 units on the block immediately to the east of the old federal building, the old post office. There are two houses on that lot, but the land has been owned now by two estates from father to son, and son's estates now open. So it's been held undeveloped and kind of messy for a number of years and probably decades. Purchase of the lot is contingent on tax increment approval. It's Block 165 Original Town. It is consistent with the comp plan. It's designated as R3. 2 units would be built. The alley would be paved. Cost of this land is $280,000. The site, there's a picture of the site as it exists today and a proposed layout in the redevelopment plan. The investment in this area will be approximately $5 million to get this project across the line. So purchasing the site is contingent on TIF, and the loan to make this go is contingent on TIF, meeting the but-for test. This is a request for 20-year TIF for workforce housing. Classic project. Glad to answer any questions. I yield my remaining time.
Thank you. We reserve the right to bring you back when the council's considering this. All right.
Charlie is here and is well versed on this. Spent a lot of time working on bringing this project to fruition, and he's glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Anyone else like to speak on this issue?
Good afternoon. Lou McGrath, 731 East Sierra Drive. I've seen little of the actual project that these guys have offered up, other than that it's an apartment building. As far as the TIF funding, if that's what this question is about, I'm all for TIF funding. I think it's a perfect place, belongs there. I met with the city departments about a year ago with Lincoln County Community Development Corporation, of which I'm a member. And discussing with that, it allows for about 30 to 40 units for occupancy, is what we were told. It definitely would need some additional infrastructure from what it currently has, as it is in 8 or roughly 8 home lots at this time. The block is full of grown trees, concrete, stones, other unseen obstacles, and there's above ground power lines that look like they're not being used. I could be wrong, but it looks like that. And I think the location is optimal for a housing project and will increase the the population density in the downtown area. My question is the apartment complex or apartment building the best use for this space? I see it as a mixed use area used for both retail and residential. The location is transitional from commercial, as he mentioned. Across one of the streets is the federal building. That's a big, large commercial looking building. Everything else around this block is single family homes. Now, I shouldn't say everything around it, but 2/3 of the rest of it is single family homes. And another big brick building, if that's the intention of the apartment, to me doesn't transition into residential very well. I think this block deserves a little bit of both the residential and retail to transition in the community. Small coffee stop, maybe a community retail type business. Downtown residential offerings currently. If I attended the Region 6 One Nebraska conference here a couple of weeks ago with the Chamber of Commerce. And the number one item that was stressed in that meeting was community building. We recognized that we need housing and we need workforce, but community building overrode both of those. So with this downtown area, I like to propose a different type of housing, something that invites walking and community, people connecting, encouraging community connections, promoting and supporting the downtown businesses. Generally speaking, when you're living in an apartment, you drive into your parking lot, you go into your apartment, you do what you got to do in your apartment, then you come back out to your car and you go to work or you go to your friend's house or things like that. But more of a type of row houses or townhomes, I think, would fit our community better than an apartment building there. It's more residential looking. You can also front face the doors and to the sidewalks and have people walking by and people can communicate with each other and just say hi to their neighbors, talk to them simply. Just that sense of community engagement and community building is where it is, where I see this. And also the walking distance to the downtown, supporting the downtown businesses. If you're just in your car and then you drive to work and then you come home and you go in your apartment and then you go back out and you head out someplace else, where does that draw you to the downtown, which is only 4 blocks away, 3 blocks away from this location? So I think the flexibility of a more townhouse, I mean, they can be rental units, but there's also a room for single family residences, 2 or 3 level row type houses. Also a missing piece that I see in North Platte is condominiums. Not that I want a whole bunch of them or anything like that, but people who own condominiums can use them, rent them, whatever they want to do, coming and going, are young professionals. I've heard it from a couple of them over the last couple of years. They would love to have something that they could have here while they go to Lincoln and do their work or whatever it is, spend their time elsewhere as well. And so there was a piece of that. It's also sometimes younger people are too busy to do their own snow removal and cut their own grass. I don't understand it myself, but that's the reality of it. I guess my point is the TIF funding is, in my opinion, is critical to this juncture, or an apartment building may not be the best use of the available real estate for North Platte and its developing community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else have a comment?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Eric Seacrest, 109 South Maloney Drive. Again, I do not have an interest in this project at all, but I do have a long-running interest in housing for this community. As you probably all remember, this property has been undeveloped, basically, for decades. It's been blighted and substandard declared for decades. And this is the first development project that's been brought to you in those decades. Communities compete for people, and people want choices in housing. And this project brings lots of choices that we don't have. in this area, anywhere near this particular block. A new rental apartment complex. Lower cost of living than buying a house, or probably even renting a decent house. Housing location that is near jobs in downtown. Housing location that is near, very near a school, public school, Jefferson School, a few blocks away. People want housing choices, and approval of this redevelopment plan will give people more choices. And if this redevelopment plan is not approved, this project will not happen because it simply is not feasible and it won't have the financing. Thank you for your opportunity to address you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
Good evening, Council. Charlie Berwick, 212 West Circle Drive here in North Platte. So I, along with my partner, are the developers for this project. We spent a lot of time, a lot of thoughts on many different kinds of projects. And this is kind of the one that landed based on a multitude of reasons, but number one was the location. If some of you guys know, I own the building where the Good Life is in, renovated those apartments. So now we have 18 of 19 available apartments up there that have people in them right now. It's changed downtown a little bit. There's a lot more activity going on downtown. One of the tenants works for Husker Radio, which is about 2 blocks away, and you can always see him walking just around downtown. And then he frequents both the Good Life, the Cedar Room, the espresso shop, all those places downtown. And so it really has changed, the whole scene of downtown, where 10 years ago, there was none of that. To Blue's point, we purposely have left 2 lots untouched. They currently have houses on them. And the reason why we're leaving them untouched is because we don't know exactly what we want to do with them. Long-term plan is to potentially do something with commercial, potentially just have it be open land. We're not exactly sure yet. Haven't figured that part out. And the reason for that is that we know that community is incredibly important to us. We have the intention to have to make it pet friendly, to have an area to have where you can walk your dog, where you don't have to walk blocks away. Because every time I get people asking, do you have any available housing? I said, yes, we have an apartment available. Do you accept pets? 80% of the time, that's about the first question you get. So we want to make sure that we address that concern, because it just seems like everybody in North Platte that rents has a pet. I don't know. I live here. I pay taxes here. My kids go to school here. I do all these, wonderful things. And my intention is to grow North Platte, to make North Platte a better place. And whatever happens after that is just, is a luxury item for either myself or the city. And, I'm happy, and truly, I mean this, Blue, there you are. Truly, I would love to talk to you and see what options are, because I'm truly open to any idea that's out there. This is what I think is best, right, for there. It doesn't mean it is the best idea, but if somebody else wants to be up here and go through all the work I've done, go nuts. It's a lot of work. So I appreciate it. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have when it's time. I'm learning this whole process.
Thank you, Charlie. Anyone else have any comments? Mr. Gary?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by either Vols or Rieger. I'm not sure which.
I'll
but
give
we're,
it to him.
We're going to call it Vols. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
He looks pretty sad.
Calling the question on closing the public hearing, please. Public hearing is now closed. Council will now consider adopting the resolution regarding the redevelopment plan for the Canteen Commons Apartments redevelopment project and approval of related actions. Remind the council, we have Mr. Bacon and Mr. Berwick here who can answer questions for us if we would like to call them up. So,
Mayor, I move to adopt the resolution as presented in council materials and approval of the Canteen Commons Apartments redevelopment project, redevelopment plan, and approval of related actions.
Second.
motion by Garrick, second by Vols. Okay, discussion. City attorney has something he would like to point out.
Just for everyone's reference, you should see that there was a sheet of paper left for everyone here on the council table. There was a typographical error, I believe, in the council materials on page 32 of the redevelopment plan, where it may have said that any taxes would be divided for a period of 15 years. It should say 20 years, and so that item is meant to clarify any kind of typographical error that would have appeared in the redevelopment plan that was in council materials. So if anybody has questions on that, we can happily address that.
Thank you. Mr. Bacon, is there anything you'd like to add at this point? You don't have to be. I'm just asking. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Charlie? No? Okay. Questions? Mr. Bowles?
I don't really have a question, just a statement and comment, and it's about what Blue talked about. It does, and I agree with Charlie, and you summed it up well. But that's a good project, and bring that forward to the council, and it would probably get approved at some point. You know, as in the decision-making process when I sit here. And this happens with every project that comes to us. We have a project that's coming to us. If we say no to this project, we could be sitting looking at a vacant field for another 40 years. You know, this project is here, so it's tangible. So you always have to think unintended consequences. You say no to this, then this land just sits vacant again. So it's a good project, but we always have to look at the project at hand, whether it be the mall, whether it be a housing development. We're evaluating, and that's the project that's being presented by us. Someone has taken a tremendous risk to bring this project to us. So we have to move forward with that project if it makes sense in our heads. So that was my only comment on that. Great thoughts. And maybe that's a topic for another day. So thank you.
Other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, calling the question on item number 6, please.
Mayor, this type of resolution would generally require a concurrence of the majority of the council members, and that would generally require 5 votes in favor. So in this situation, you would be authorized to vote.
Charlie, when do you plan to start building?
Close on the property June 10th. This gets approved. Start on June 11th.
Okay, I vote in favor. Item passes. Item number 7, public hearing to adopt the recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for an amendment to the City of North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 Future Land Use Map to amend certain land residential low-density single-family to commercial located on South Buffalo Bill Avenue, north of West State Farm Road. Opening the public hearing to consider this item. Anyone who wishes to address the council, feel free to approach the mic. Again, this is on the subject of addressing the city's comprehensive plan, specifically the future land use map.
My name's Ken Caskey. I reside area of Ward 3, 104 South Maple. We're here to kind of represent the subdivision that is adjacent to this parcel of land. And we are in opposition and against having this rezoned. We're here with a few people. I guess instead of all of us speaking and repeating the same things, we can raise our hands on those that are opposed to it, that are here for that. There'd be a few that want to speak to it. In opening, bear with me a little bit. So there's a 9.96 acres of property that is looking to get rezoned from residential future from the comprehensive plan to a business park, which would be outside the city area. So part of what I have to start with is, I don't know, it's a statement or also a question. We had opposition of 47% of the landowners out there that are in opposition to that. And we got their names, numbers here if we need to share those. And then we have additional ones that are outside that 300-foot area. So with that, I guess a question or statement is if this does get voted on, does the ordinance 19905 come into play where you have to have a 75% vote to pass it, I guess, since we have a more than a 20%, which it states in that ordinance to, if you have 20% or more in opposition, it basically states that you, city council has to have a 75% vote to pass it. So that's one thing we were asking. Why were we opposing this? We live in that community down there. It has character. People live there because they like the silence. They like it's no through traffic. And with that, we feel that'll be disrupted if this turns into a business park. Along with that, we've been told that it'll adversely impact the value of our properties next door. The properties outside the city limits, we feel it would not be to the advantage of the city to rezone that for business park. If it's rezoned, it's not in the city limits. So all the businesses that go into that park, the city would not collect any property tax. The city portion, it would not collect sales tax from sales of any of the goods sold on that business park. And if there is a labor tax on repairs, like this boat shop, that would neither would that be collected. So basically, you will be spending money to rezone, provide a facility for a business park, and the city is not getting any benefit tax-wise because it's not in the city limits and can't be collected on. Why is that important to me? Well, one reason is this year, my house taxes are going up $600 just in 1 year. And to have the city open up a business park and not collect the revenue from it doesn't make sense to me. In addition to that, I know the water table is extremely high out there, and I'm assuming that city will later be contacted for sewer. I know that Pals across the street had a septic system put in. It didn't work for them, and they went to the city, and at the city's expense, we've extended the sewer to Pals, and they are also outside the city limits. they're getting city services, and again, they're selling product out there, and the city's not collecting any tax on that when they're benefiting the benefit of having city services. So we can see this business park having the same outcome with that. Reason number 3, the home and landowners out in this neighborhood that are immediately adjacent to this business park. We've been told throughout the years, through the 2011 comprehensive plan, that this was going to be zoned future residential. We've invested our time, money, invested our families into this neighborhood, and now we're looking at pulling that rug out from underneath us and basically put a business park right in our backyard. So another reason we don't like it, researched a little bit, spoke with another marine company in town here, and they stated, yes, their type of business does have significant noise, especially when they're out testing their engines outside and starting up the motors, and that it is extremely loud. And again, that will disrupt the neighborhood peace and quiet. So another reason is the negative impact for the adjacent properties. Again, we did the legwork. We contacted a few realtors, and they've informed me that yes, a business park next to residential property, the residential property has a real potential of having a negative impact economically when it comes to resale if you've got a business park right next door. So again, I did ask that this be reviewed and kind of sought into. So when it went to the building or the planning for the recommendations, I had asked that they do an economic and social impact assessment, which was not done, and I've been told that would show that property next door would suffer financially if a business park was put right next to it. Also, I think actions speak louder than words, and I noticed that the developer that plans to develop this area, they have a residential house of Airbnb on the south end of their property, and I think they in agreement that it's not ideal to put a business right next to a house because they've placed their business as far north as they can away from their house. So to me, that action speaks louder than words. I don't feel the benefit of one person should be at the expense of a majority. With this being outside the city limits, and the city having numerous areas where a facility like this can be built. All 3 areas are that I'm aware of are within the city limits, which then would allow the city to collect the sales tax and get a benefit from it. I know we have a business park out on State Farm Road, and I'll bet you there's at least 60 acres there that haven't been developed yet that are up for development. I know there's a development park by the post office, which is not full, that could easily be used. And ideally, there's commercial area in front of Menards, which the city and the taxpayers have spent TIF money on. It was 20 years ago when we built Menards. And there are lots there. There's an 18-acre lot, there's a 17-acre lot, there's a 6-acre lot, 8-acre lot, all up for sale. All has city utilities, everything is in place. Nothing, it's basically turnkey, ready to go. And if a facility like this was placed there, then the city could collect the tax on the repair labor, the tax on the product sold, and the tax on the property, where they can't on this other way, on the other location. So,
Mr. Caskey, I gave you about 10 minutes since you're
Okay.
speaking for a group, but please summarize your thoughts.
okay, yep. So, I also know last year that the city tried to rezone the city park land just north of this location. And part of their justification of rezoning that park land into residential property was that we needed more residential property to develop. Now we're looking at proposing taking property off the books that is residential and changing it to business, and that doesn't make sense to me either. So the comprehensive plan was put in place for a purpose. We've relied on it. We've spent money. We've invested based on that concept that it was going to be developed that way, and we want it to be kept in place. In summary, we don't want it there. That's not that we don't want it. We just don't want it there. We don't think it's advantageous for the city to lose that revenue by letting it be placed there. And again, we don't feel the benefit of one should be at the expense of taxpayers or many. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't know if you need a copy of this list of people that oppose it to confirm we got the 20%. So
Just hang on to it for the
I will
moment,
do.
but we may. Anyone else like to speak on this matter?
I'm going to be real short and sweet. My name's Bev Gatula, and I reside at 4620 Valley Drive. And my property abuts the field in question for rezoning, which basically my backyard looks right into it. And I'm asking that when you're considering the vote for this rezoning, that you also consider the impact it's going to have to a lot of us out there, our quality of life, not to mention like Ken said, our property values, but we've had a field out there that has been crop producing for all of the 20 years that I've been out there. I sit on my back patio, I listen to birds, I have beautiful scenery, and I invite any of you to come and sit on my back patio and see and hear what I see right now, and think about how that's all going to change if this is all rezoned to commercial, and anything at all will be able to go into that property. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Mark Ottinger, 18095 West State Farm Road in Hershey. And my son and I are the ones asking for the ability to rezone to B2. And it's for a one business, not a business park, but a one business opportunity for a boat marine. So currently, if you look at most watercraft owners, most leave town and go out of town to get any of their services done. And they also do that mainly too for, there's no opportunity to buy new boats. My son has been went to school to be a certified tech. And we looked at the opportunity, especially with the utilities that are out there to the north side of the property, the sewer and the city water out there, hence why the building location would be to the north, because that's where the utilities are. So our goal was to keep people in town for those services. Obviously, it's easier on a customer that can get their services done here and not 2, 3, 4 hours away to Denver. And an opportunity to sell new boats to them. It also helps with some really good technical job growth. The skill set that we would look at bringing in, the opportunity to have those jobs here in our shop and not in other shops outside of town. The building has been put together with a lot of thought. Boats typically, in a new facility especially, get serviced inside. It's very hot in the summer, it's cold in the winter. And the building design would be for those boats to be serviced inside, being real cognizant of noise, obviously, for not just the neighbors, but also traffic and other folks that are using the walkway out there and the walking trails and bike trails. And hence how we came up with this project. And I'd answer any questions that you would have.
We'll call you back with questions, I'm sure, Mark. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Gary Pearson, President, North Platte Area Chamber and Development Corporation, 502 South Dewey. Just like to make a few remarks in regards to the comprehensive planning process. I've been part of those processes in a few different communities and always put a lot of thought and detail into that. I've certainly watched our planning commission in action for the past 8.5 years that I've been here, and they do a very, very thorough job and very, very conscientious. But when you look at the development that North Platte has invested in about Buffalo Bill Avenue, not only the improvement of the street, but bringing utilities to that area. Certainly when you look at a comprehensive plan, you have a major corridor like Buffalo Bill that exists, especially going directly to Lake Maloney, that it should be expected that there be commercial development along there. I remember some of the same concerns that were expressed about the Powell's when they developed that, and they certainly have same family, different members that have developed that property. Has proven over time to be a very wonderful thing for North Platte. It's put North Platte on the statewide map as far as a well-run business, and it's a destination point for a lot of people. So they've certainly have proven, that they're good business people. They're involved in a lot of community activities. They're very conscientious. And I think a business like this, and you see other examples throughout the community where they can coexist. I've been, as you well know, a huge advocate for housing. We tried our best to put a housing subdivision out there. But even in that realm, along the corridor of Buffalo Bill, there was planned to be commercial development in cooperation with that. What you see in mixed-use development in this day and age, District 177 is a perfect example of that, where you have mixed residential as well as business development. And it's the way communities operate and they function. And I think if first-class cities in Nebraska had the ability, like villages and second-class cities, to do skip annexation, certainly you would see those properties already in the city limits. Or you have to have contiguous areas to do an annexation. It's difficult until that time comes when, as this community develops forward. I'm fully confident that someday that will be inside the city limits. And I'd just like to see this community continue to embrace these kind of opportunities. And as Mark pointed out, a lot of those services are leaving the community right now. And certainly this is a high visible area, and that's where you want commercial development. So I just think it's a nice development for North Platte to consider.
Thank you. Other comments?
I'm Emil Bunzer. I live not adjacent, but I'd say probably another 150 yards to the east of where this is going to be, over the 300 that's already there. That's a pretty big swath of land to turn commercial. And I don't see how that boat repair shop's going to take up that whole chunk. Yeah, I don't have the plans either in front of me, but once that goes commercial, it stays commercial probably, and then this guy can sell it. He can put anything he wants up there once it's commercial. Am I right? So, that's a pretty big chunk of land you got there, Paul, and you already don't honor anybody that lives there with the noise ordinance. What's the noise ordinance in North Platte?
I'm sorry.
What time do you need to be quiet in North Platte? Or you get disturbing the peace? Is there any police? Oh, Mr. Reeves.
Is 10 o'clock the noise ordinance? So you can be loud wherever you want in the city of North Platte, as late as you want? That's right. We are his neighbors. And 10 o'clock, as far as I've known, has been kind of like when you need to shut it down in North Platte. Am I right?
There is not an ordinance that states.
So there's no noise ordinance for loud, keeping people awake.
There is a decibel level that you cannot exceed.
Okay. Well, he's shown his character by not honoring that, whatever it may be, or I guess there isn't one anymore now. But so, I'm not in favor at all. And that's, there's plenty of reasons why. That's one of them. Maybe three of them.
Anyone else like to make a comment?
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Sarah Pearson. I live at 4701 Valley Drive. I know this is about the zoning area, but this man over here has blatantly disrespected everybody on the street.
We're not doing that in the city council meeting. So if you'd like to talk about the zoning area, you're welcome to. You may not character assassinate people in the middle of this meeting. So if you'd like to talk about the zoning area, go ahead and do it. That's fine.
So I can't talk about a noise complaint?
So is it related to this property?
Yes, it is. And I suffer from chronic migraines. And my windows bump at 12 o'clock. I'm just wondering if any of y'all would like your windows bumping at 12 o'clock at night. It's disturbing. I think it's disrespectful of them to do that. I mean, if you got the money to zone something, can you put up a fence to block the noise a little something here, there's kids that live on this street that, go to school, have bedtimes. It's just very disrupting. It's not that, okay, sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's not. It's always, your windows rock in your house. I just think it's just disrespectful. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calvin Songster, live at 4601 Valley Drive. I just want to stand and say that I oppose this being zoned commercial and agree with the other points that have been made forth. I put a letter out, but I was able to make it. I just want to stand and say that I'm here and that I want to have that voice. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by Reeker. Calling the question on closing the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Council will now consider adopting the recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for an amendment to the City of North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 Future Land Use Map to amend certain land residential low-density single-family to commercial located on the South Buffalo Avenue, north of West State Farm Road.
I move to adopt the recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for an amendment to the City of North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 Future Land Use Map to amend certain land residential low-density single-family to commercial located on South Buffalo Bill Avenue, north of West State Farm Road, as shown on the attached map.
Second.
Motion by Voles, second by Flanders. Do I have an ordinance to read? Who has a comment or a question? Mr. Bowles?
All right, I would like to call Mark Ottinger back up, if you don't mind, Mark. I know we're jumping the gun on this because we're just looking to change the comprehensive plan here. But since the public hearing was in discussion on this, I feel it's appropriate to talk a little bit about your lot development. The next item, we have to get past this to get to your next item, which would be to rezone this B2. So I would just like to get some clarity before we talk about this, okay?
Sure.
So, and I saw your site map on the next issue. Looks like you're building a 60 by 140 building in about the middle of that area. So that gives you approximately 150 feet to Buffalo and 150 feet to your lot line, okay? This is on the far north side of your property. You own the entire property, right?
Yes, my wife and I.
Okay. Wanted to point out that since you abut, and I talked to Judy about this, Judy, I hope you don't mind me revisiting this. Since you abut North Platte City land to the north of you, if you ever wanted to sell any portion of your remaining acreage there, that you would have to come to city council. We would have to annex you into the city limits so that you could subdivide. Okay. Just want to make you aware of that. So basically, this land is controlled by you for the foreseeable future until you try to sell that. Then it would come back in front of city council. Okay. So that is one avenue to control this land. But now let's talk about your building. Have you contemplated fencing in between the building or this land and the adjoining subdivision to your east?
Yes, not only for security, but, for having a break in between. So yes.
What type of fencing would you look to put up there, Mark?
We haven't got that far on the planning in that, but the fencing is in there, and it wouldn't just be on the east side. It would also be on a couple different sides of the building.
Okay. So it'd be on the east side and then on some other sides, maybe the north and, okay. The remaining portion of that ground, I'm assuming you're going to keep as present use at this time?
Preferably for some dust control and dirt control, we would continue to plan it to make sure it doesn't erode or blow into the neighbors.
And then the other question, so you're planning on doing the majority of your repairs on both facilities inside.
Yeah, so the building's twofold. There's 3 bays on the building, which would be at a certain height for the boats. So that's where all the boats would be worked on. And then the building scales down to the east for a showroom where we could also put a couple boats in for new that would be inside.
Okay.
And then that would be where the public would come in. And the reason we set the building in that way is so we can have parking to the west towards Buffalo Bill. So it's a quick entrance in and quick to the front door on the west side.
Okay. Okay. That gives me a better vision of everything. Thank you.
Other questions for Mark while we've got him up here? Go ahead, Mark.
Are you going to put a fence on the south side of, to the south of your building to make a separation between that and the land?
It probably wouldn't be a tall fence because we wouldn't bring it all the way across the property probably.
Okay.
But there would be a fence on the south side just so we could have security controls around so people can't access into our shop or any of our tools and so forth.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Do you know about how far south of the building you were planning on going with that?
we haven't got that far from a fence standpoint, but we do have cement that comes out in front of the building for people to pull up and park on, about 20 feet, 30 feet. And then all that we would use less would be so we could have some traffic in there to pick up and move boats.
Yeah.
You know, get them in the shop, get them out, have a customer pick up.
Other questions, Mark? I think you can sit down, Mark. But we reserve the right to call you back.
Mayor Kelleher, I just want
Go
to
ahead.
comment. I've got a lot of phone calls on this one. There's people, and I've taken this to heart. I'll be honest with you. The people have a right to use their property. I mean, that's really what the issue is. You know, how much good government interference do you want to make here? But you know, these people, this is their homes, and I'm just not really comfortable with this one. I'm being honest with you. I'm just not. Once we change that to business, there's development going to go on out there, folks. It's going to happen. I mean, we all know that, but I just not at this stage. I don't have a good comfort feeling with this one. I'm just giving you my position on this. I'm concerned about the landowners. I think they have genuine concerns about it's going to affect their use of the property.
Okay. Anyone else? Donna, go ahead.
I did also receive calls about this, and there was a question about the proper notice to the residents, because apparently some didn't get notice that thought they should have. So I wondered if Judy could explain the process on the notice. If she,
After Judy explains.
because I'm not really sure either.
Public hearing notice for zoning conditional use permits amendments is dictated by Nebraska state statute, and we follow that. So what we do is at least 10 days prior to the first meeting, there are letters that are sent to neighboring property owners within 300 feet of that property. Also, along with that, there is a publication that hits the Telegraph at least 10 days prior to the meeting. And then the property is also posted with the required posting of a white poster board with 1.5-inch letters that are also posted 10 days prior to the first meeting.
Are all three of those steps done in a situation like this?
Every single time. And I've been doing it for 23 years.
Well, I knew
every
you'd know
single
how to
time.
do it.
It's done the same way every single time. Yes.
Okay.
And years ago, we used to do them not certified, but we felt that certified letters granted us the card back so that we could prove that they were mailed, they were received. So
they're sent out certified.
They are sent out certified. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Judy. Mr. Caskey, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah.
Please keep it short.
And I don't, I mean, I think it needs to be addressed maybe in the future with the city a little bit. But, I know the property is supposed to be posted out there and notified that it's up for rezoning. And if it was posted, the sign didn't last more than a half a day. I've been out there, all the neighbors have asked, where's the sign at? And it just wasn't visible or it wasn't there. So, I think it not only needs to be posted, but it also be maintained so it can be visible that it is. We had some comment come back that, well, nobody came to the planning and zoning meeting. Well, a lot of people didn't know about it because property wasn't maintained. The notice wasn't posted. It wasn't maintained out there. So the other thing is that on the statutes 905, it says the residents personally served with the written notice at least 10 days. The notices went in the mail 10 days. I don't know if that's personally served, if it gets postmarked 10 days. For that notice of that meeting, I received my notice, my certified letter, picked it up, signed for it 5 hours before the meeting happened, you know. So again, you know, personally served and postmarked, I think in the future ought to be maybe defined a little better, you know. Just to me, personally served means you received and you signed for your certified letter 10 days before the meeting to give people notice and time to attend a meeting like that. So instead of 5 hours before the hand. So, and
Just out of curiosity, do you recall the postmark date on your letter?
yeah, it was postmarked 10 days before. Yeah, because I checked. I got it with me. Yeah, it was postmarked 10 days before. But again, like I said, when it's personally served, you know, is that when it's actually postmarked in the mail, or is that when I signed for it at the post office? Yeah, to me, there's a difference. So,
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Oh, Ed, go ahead. Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'm kind of a property rights guy. You guys probably all know that. And I think it's important that the people have established their homes adjacent to this property with the idea that it was zoned non-commercial. They've established a home there, raised a family in some cases. I don't think it's appropriate for us to rezone this and disrupt their homes. I don't, I'm sure that the noise probably is not going to be exceptional if the mechanic work is going to be done inside the building. But nonetheless, it's going to detract from the value of their property when it comes time to sell. And I think I'm still concerned too, because there's going to be by looking at the drawing anyway, maybe half of that property that's not going to be used for this commercial endeavor. So what's the next commercial endeavor going to be that goes on the rest of it? So I'm not going to support it either. Thank you.
Do we have other questions or comments? Brad?
Thank you, Mayor. Really struggled with this one because I hear the, you know, your guys' concerns, and they're valid concerns, and I can see the things you're struggling with, and I relate to that. But the city is growing that direction, and I see every time I'm out there on Buffalo, you know, I think the speed limit's 45 miles an hour out there. I can't see residential going in that spot anywhere. So if the town's going to continue to grow there, commercial makes the most sense. So I think that's where I land on that issue. But I really appreciate you guys reaching out and, you know, voicing your concerns.
Other questions or comments?
Anybody ask a question?
Go ahead.
There doesn't appear to be unanimity with the council. If this fails tonight, and I'm just making us is their ability to do this in the future impaired? You know, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know what the outcome could be here. Maybe it'd be better to table it until we get some more things solidified. I'm just saying that.
If this item fails, then I would, or tabled, either one, will remove the next item. And then it could be returned to the agenda at some point in the future.
So they could come back in the future if they want it.
Theoretically, yes. If it's tabled, we would have to specify a time frame for it to come back, or it would just be removed after the next meeting.
I guess what my concern is, I think there's been issues concerned about noise. There's barrier fence. There's not really a buffer zone here with commercial property. There's some other things mentioned. It didn't come to the top of my head, but I just wonder whether those issues should be addressed first and then bring this thing back to us. That's my thought.
You're welcome to make a motion to table if you would like.
Okay, I will make a motion to table this for the reasons I've stated. I think there's been some issues related here at this hearing that I really would prefer to have some answers to before I would make a decision. I think this is commercial property, but what we're dealing with here, I think there's some questions that need to be answered if we're going to do this, because that opens it up for these people. I'll be honest with you, I'm not comfortable with this right now without more information. I
We have
move
mo-
we table.
Okay, we have motion to table. Do we have a second?
I would second that as well.
Motion by Nisley, second by Flanders. There is no discussion on a motion to table. Calling the question to table this item. This item is tabled. We will consider it at the next council meeting if it's on the agenda. Okay. Item number 8 is removed because it's now irrelevant because 7 is tabled and the associated public hearing as well. Moving on to the public hearing for item number 9. Consider action to a public hearing. Consider action on an application by Lone Star Cowboy Church of North Platte for a conditional use permit to allow a church and accessory structures to be located at 911 North Buffalo Avenue. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to address the council on this issue, please come up to the microphone. Tell us who you are, where you live. Hi, John.
Good evening. John Sexton, 16,001 West Power Road, Hershey. Mr. Mayor, City Council, I thank you for taking up our application tonight and considering conditional use permit. We've, as many of you know, we've been meeting in the sale barn out on the east side of town for close to 8 years now. And last summer we was blessed enough to acquire this property, and we're pretty excited to be able to expand and do ministry in many new ways because, as you know, allowing the use of the sale barn, they still operate a business there. So we're very limited on the ministry opportunities we have there. And so anyway, we're excited about that. And I know I told the planning commission, I apologize to them as well for my artistic abilities in the drawing that is before you. But only 2 classes I failed in school was penmanship and art, and you're seeing the worst of me displayed right there. But anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have for me on this property.
We will reserve questions till the council considers it. So since this is a public hearing, but like I said, we reserve the right to call you back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to make a comment on this item?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by Vols to close the public hearing. Calling the question on closing the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Council will now consider action on an application by Lone Star Cowboy Church of North Platte for a conditional use permit to allow a church and accessory structures to be located at 1911 North Buffalo Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we find the request for a conditional use permit to allow a church and accessory structures on property located at 1911 North Buffalo Bill Avenue meets the minimum standards stated in the North Platte Code of Ordinances, sections 156.322, and approve and grant with the condition that all elements of the application are complied with. Based on the following factual findings, the use shall conform to all applicable laws and ordinances and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. The use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. Ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. The use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the districts in which it is located, and the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of the land.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by Vols. We have discussion on item number 9. Ed?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I guess no reflection on your drawing ability, John, but where's the church?
Didn't even take 10 seconds and you were back.
All right. Happy to be back. You see that existing building there in the southwest corner, of the property. It says existing building. That is a 40 by 100 steel building that we have been working on renovating a little bit, and we will be meeting in that once we get all our renovations done and our.
And the next question is, I presume since you're wanting to establish this as a church, it'll be tax exempt. Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, we are a 501c3 nonprofit
Okay.
organization.
Will this whole property then be tax exempt?
Well, that would be ideal for us. At the moment, only the existing building and 1 acre around it are tax exempt because of that's all we're using for ministry services at the moment.
So I presume that, like your trailer and RV hookups and stuff, there's gonna be some fees associated with that, where you're gonna charge people to stay there? Or how will that work?
I'm a firm believer in being a church that it's a free will donation.
Okay. So there would be no fees.
That is my plan at the moment. Of course, we'll address that down the road with the board of directors and all this at the church and such. So,
do you anticipate any stuff out there? Do you anticipate any activities out there for youth, like horseback riding and this type of thing?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I look forward to a rodeo Bible camp, trail rides, prayer trail. I mean, I don't want to take business away from Dusty Trails right up the road. He's a very good friend of ours, but work in conjunction with him, to be able to use both properties maybe for, but there will be many opportunities for kids to gather and have family days and this and that there.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Pete? I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around this too.
Okay.
I'm not a member of your congregation. How large, if you don't mind me asking, is that? It doesn't matter. I belong to another church in town. I want to come up and we want to have, is it just going to be your members utilizing this entire facility, or are you going to open it up to, kind of like what Ed was asking, Bible camps, I don't know, youth groups, commercial endeavors whatsoever? I'm just trying to figure out, the boarding stalls.
Sure.
If I have a horse and I'm a Catholic, can I put my horse up at your stall? I don't, I'm just
As long
trying
as
to.
your horse ain't Catholic.
This is a whole.
Sorry, scratch that from the record.
This is a whole new thing to me. So I'm just trying to figure out how this is going to roll.
We've gone to a new territory here.
This the boarding stalls, trailer hookup area, I envision as being very primitive, just a place for people, Catholic or not, whoever wants to is passing through, headed to a rodeo or stopping here for Nebraska Land Days or the high school rodeo, whatever the case may be, and they want a place to get their horses out and stretch and not be in the mix of all the other trailers and horses, or just like I said, somebody passing through hauling some critters. Open to anybody.
Okay. Yeah. Because there is a need up there for sure.
Anybody.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Donna?
Thank you. So are you going to advertise for this service? Not your Sunday service. Well, you can advertise for that too, I guess.
Yeah. Right now, as far as we're working on putting together a website for our church. Right now, everything we have is social media, Facebook particularly, and there would probably be some posts, on a place on our website that displays it. I'm feared that if we advertise heavily, that we're gonna get overrun. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And we want to keep as much of the property available for ministry opportunities with the trail rides and the family events and this and that. And I don't want to take up 20 acres of it with, 20 by 20 stalls. So
So how big is the building that your services, that qualifies for the tax exempt status? How big is your church building? Or
the existing building there now is 40 by 100 steel building.
and you're going to keep that,
Yes.
remodel it, enlarge it?
If you look at the drawing, the future building next to it, no set plans, whether we would add on to this building or try to build a separate structure back a little ways for, here and there. No set plans on that. I would like to keep them kind of connected, then we could use the whole facility together in different areas, but, for the foreseeable future, the current building's going to suffice for some time.
So do you know how many total acres in this?
There's 49.1 acres.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John, and so if you're going to have trailer and camper hookups here, are you going to be tied into the city sewer then?
The existing building that's there now does have city services to it, city sewer and water. Like I said, I'm looking at probably very primitive stuff. We're going to have some water lines out there, which will be needed. I don't anticipate trenching electric and sewer out there. It's just going to be kind of an overnight type stop
So
deal.
if I need to dump my RV tank, I can't dump it out there.
Well, probably not legally.
You'll have to find somewhere else to go, Ed, sorry.
Yeah,
I
at least.
like your answer. Okay, thank you.
But that's up for debate later too. I'm not sure how much money the church is willing to invest to put those services there. If there comes a time when we have the ability and the funds to do it, then we very well might look at that and make it more appealing, user friendly, should I say?
Well, you would hope that the people that stay there have enough personal integrity that they would offer some kind of a stipend that would at least offset some of your cost.
One would think.
Brad?
Just a comment. I've known John and Rebecca for years. Great people, amazing for the community. Thank you for doing this. We hear over and over that there's nothing to do in North Platte, and this is a wholesome opportunity for people to go out and do things. So thank you for stepping forward and doing something. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad.
Mark?
I'd like to echo Brad's comment. I thank you for all the work you're going to put into this. And I really like your plan. It sounds like you have a lot of faith in the Lord.
Oh, amen.
To develop this as needed. And I think you're going to do very well out there.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, let's call the question on item number 9, please. Item number 9 is passed. Item number 10. One more public hearing. Consider action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission to adopt ordinance number 4167 to rezone certain lands from an R-M mobile home district to an R-3 dwelling district located at 2401 East 2nd Street. Lane, would you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 4167, an ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, rezoning certain lands described as Lot 59, Platteview subdivision, proposed Lot 2, Platteview 4th replat, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, from an RM mobile home district to an R3 dwelling district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Thank you. Okay, opening the public hearing on ordinance number 4167. Anyone like to make a comment?
Brian Cabrera, 2401 East 2nd Street, number 50, River Valley Mobile Home Park. I'm the owner. Just wanted to speak to some clarity if anyone needed it, but the River Valley Mobile Home Park has been owned since 2005. It has sat on 3 parcels, and one parcel, which is on the west side, has been vacant since 2005. We haven't developed that area and don't plan on doing so. Knowing there is a housing shortage on that parcel, we have basically cut a 2.6 acre parcel in half to 1.36 acres, and we will be selling that, and again going from RM zoning mobile home park to R3, which would allow somebody to do a home, duplex, or apartment building.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a comment or question? Gary?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We'll give that one to Voles. Okay, motion by Garrick, second by Voles. Calling the question and closing the public hearing, please. Public hearing is now closed. Council will now consider action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission to adopt ordinance number 4167 to rezone certain lands from an R-M mobile home district to an R3 dwelling district located at 2401 East 2nd Street. Lane already read the ordinance, so probably don't need to do that again.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4167 to rezone certain land from an RM mobile home district to an R3 dwelling district located at 2401 East 2nd Street. Proposed Lot 2, Plat View 4th replat on first reading.
Second.
Motion by Flanders, second by Reeker. Any discussion on item number 10? Judy, you have anything you want to add over here? Okay. Oh, sorry, Ed, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question for the owner.
Mr. Cabrera?
Given the circumstances that we find ourselves in North Platte with a pretty major employer about to look for some employees within probably a year, do you have any anticipation that there may be a market for opening the rest of that park up for mobile homes since it's already zoned that way?
Meaning expanding the mobile home
Yes,
park?
sir. Yes.
We took that into consideration. I'm not in a position to do so.
Okay.
The park at one point in time was on the market for sale, and developers had the opportunity to do what you're talking about. They didn't do it. So with that said, on my end, it was more about, hey, if this land has been untouched since 2005, let's give somebody a shot to develop it. The land that borders it, which is already zoned R3, was purchased by all the holdings. They are developers, investors, and they, I believe, are very interested in purchasing the 1.36 acres. So we'll see what happens with that. It's nothing's in stone, but they are interested, and that would add on to their 2.6 acres that they own to the west.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Mr. Cabrera while we've got him up here? Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 10, please. I think we need to get a new battery for Mr. Wood's clicker. Okay. Number 10 is passed. Item number 11, adopt the recommendation by the City Planning Commission for preliminary and final approval of Plat View 4th replat located at 2401 East 2nd Street.
Move to adopt the recommendation by the City Planning Commission for preliminary and final approval of Plat View 4th replat.
Second.
Is that you, Ed?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Garrick, second by Reeker. Discussion on item number 11, which is highly similar to item number 10. Valid question. Timeout. Okay. Well, we have a small procedural error here. I think somebody got a little gusto. We read the ordinance above it once. We really can't do anything else until it's passed 3 times. So, we will have to bring this back at the next meeting. Okay,
Do I need to pull my motion?
please.
Move to, all right.
You just pull your motion?
Yeah, pull my motion.
Okay. So effectively, item number 11 is removed from the agenda. Sorry for the confusion, everyone. We will correct it next time, Mr. Cabrera. Sorry for the inconvenience. Item number 12, approve the claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pay the claims.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Nisley. Calling the question on approving the claims. Claims are approved. Public agenda request. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. This is the point in the meeting. If anyone has an agenda request item they would like the city council to consider in the future, you're welcome to approach the microphone and let us know what your thoughts are. Mr. Reeker?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn. Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Vols. Calling the question on adjournment. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
I was just thinking about that deal with the registered letter. It's probably reflective of we're taking it to Denver and back now.
Supposedly they're not.